Well, let's get into this pod, huh?
Hey, let's pot it up.
Let's pod it up. Hey, everybody. It is NewWayStories, and you just experienced the best opening we've ever done. It's smooth like jazz. It was kind of choppy
Confusing.
a little bit like jazz.
Like jazz.
Depends on what flavor you like.
It's done poorly by two white dudes.
Like jazz.
Most jazz.
Dude, one of my favorite bits is from Rory Scovel, and he talks about the Utah Jazz, and the history of that basketball team is they bought it from New Orleans, so it actually makes sense that they're called the Jazz. But he's like, Utah's the whitest place ever.
There's nowhere
and
where there's
Salt Lake
less
City
jazz.
is even more white than the rest of Utah. He goes, Utah Jazz, more like the Utah Smooth Jazz. So good.
There's more jazz in Amsterdam than there is in Salt Lake City. Sweet Lord.
Hey, yeah, welcome to NewWayStories. My name is Jesse. With me,
Yes.
Last week I said with me as always, and then I realized that you weren't there. So Darius, with me 90% of the time. 95% of the time.
What a sad moment.
With me is
always.
My ride or die, always by my side.
With me as always. With me as always. With me as always.
And then I had to say Ben Salazar, but now this week, Ben Salazar, our producer, isn't here. So if the audio is just trash, know that it's Ben's fault.
Yeah.
Because he's not
No
here.
crying over spilt bins. You hear that, Mrs. Ben's mom? I don't care. I'm going to double down on the mean. No, I'm kidding.
And I think, I was going to say, I'm not necessarily going to be mean. I mean, if the opportunity arises, I'll take it. But I'm not like out searching for it. But, while the cat's away, the mice are at play. So Darius and I can do this. I mean, to me, this is a whole new world, right? I can do whatever I want. I can even sing on the pod, and Ben's not here to stop me.
Can't stop us.
A whole new world.
Yeah. And I could.
And I can do. Oh, where to go? You can suck it, Ben.
And I can now do my super racist freestyle rapping. Ben's not here to egg me on, so it will stop before it gets out of hand.
We can just do it, but then it'd be like, oh, Ben's on, and then Ben's just called in to do a rap. That only works for the audio. Once you get on the video and it's just us looking away from the camera for a second to go into character, you're like, wait a second, that's not Ben.
Speaking of not insensitive bits that could have been construed as insensitive.
Yeah.
I told someone about our spaghetti westerns. What did we call them? Yellow westerns? I told someone about that. It was spaghetti westerns, classic samurai movies, and then we made our way. You have to listen to the pod. It was a joke.
We got there. It makes sense how we got there.
Irony.
Anyway,
I told him about it. He thought it was funny.
Dude, I just watched American Fiction. It was nominated for Best Picture. It has Jeffrey Wright? Is that his name?
Yeah, I think that's his name.
Dude, really funny.
Really?
This concept.
I really want to watch it.
The concept is that you have this black author who is putting out just really awesome fiction, but it's not palatable, so he's not getting published, or he hasn't had a book published in 10 years. Yeah. And so they want black stories. And he's like,
so he makes up,
I'm black and I have a story. That's a black story. And he goes, no, you know what I mean. And so he writes this book. He kind of gets to his wits' end. He writes this book as satire, and it's my pathology, and it's just the worst. And they cut to another author, a woman, and she's doing a reading, a black author. She's doing a reading out of her book, and it's come out of come out of the store and she goes, no, don't tell me that. He goes, yes, and if I'm pregnant, he's going to be a real dad this time. And then this like old white lady is in like tears clapping. Like, it's so funny. But it actually like, it was a really great story because this, I think I have kind of like talked about this for a while, that when you focus so much on race that it like kind of devalues like black people have more to offer than just what a white person stereotypical like, right? So
thinks they
when
do,
when he gives the book to his publisher or his agent, he's like, I'm not going to send this out. He goes, you wanted black stories. He's like, it has deadbeat dads, it has crack, it has gang violence. Like, what's more black than that? And he's just like, I can't send this out. And then there's inevitably a white publisher is like, this is incredible.
This is incredible.
So, but it limits, right, when you're like, oh, you can only put this out. But then there's a really awesome conversation between him and the woman who wrote they're kind of introduced to her in the beginning. And she's like, I did a ton of research for that book. There's like real stories in it. And she's like clearly an educated, well-read person. Mm-hmm. And she's like, is it wrong to write something for the market that people want to read, or like that I can make money on it? And there's just this interesting tension of, are we going to feed into stereotypes, or are we like going to kind of high road? It's like, and I think it goes beyond race, right? Like rat race, different race, but rat race, like, no, he's not going to win any Pulitzer.
Not white, brown, or black, but rat.
It's not going to win any Pulitzer prizes for literary fiction, right? It's pretty pulpy.
We still don't know.
But, like, it's fun. Casey.
Yeah, it's very fun.
Almost said McCabe. Casey Bisconner. She was like, I read your whole book during a tattoo session. It was like 4 hours. I'm like, two things. I'm super grateful that you read the book. She really enjoyed it. But I'm like, I'm such a slow reader. You read it in one session of like, you're like, yeah, no. I like put 12 months of like really hard work into it, and it's done in 4 hours.
You read it while you were getting a tattoo that said Jesse sucks.
She was like, I didn't get bored of it at all. Like, I wanted to keep reading.
It's a great book.
And I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm shooting for. Like, I was shooting for something that is entertaining, that I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm not going to go down as, I actually was thinking about this. Geoffrey Chaucer. Do you know who that is?
Only from
A Knight's Tale.
A Knight's Tale.
Yeah. Book of the Duchess. I'm sure you read it. Yes. So he wrote Book of the Duchess, and then the Canterbury Tales, which is like I'm not going to pretend like I've read it, but I've listened to other people who have read it.
It's the one about the chocolate eggs.
It's yeah, that's the one. It's
Canterbury Cream.
There's so many
tales.
Easter eggs throughout that book. It's like very low brow. Like, he was writing for like the
Common
low
people.
brow. That's what comedy used to be. Is you had tragedy, which is someone dies at the end, and then if it's a comedy, it's essentially just told for people like the lowlies. It's written in the language of the peasants, and that's a comedy. And so
that's so interesting.
Anyway, I'm like, I wouldn't mind writing that. Like, I'm writing for the people, and then if I become Geoffrey Chaucer at the end of the day, 400 years later, they go, Jesse wrote for the people. He wasn't so smart to use big words, but he wrote for the lowlies.
Life partner of acclaimed medical scientist Catherine Roberts. Everyone knows Catherine Roberts is a household name because she invented a brand new way to deliver babies. Not the forceps, but the quadriceps, she called them. Kate's a household name. Little known author Jesse Roberts His work was largely hated during his lifetime, with people rioting outside of bookstores during their releases.
Yeah.
Multiple times, attempts on his life were made, but when the killers got close to him, it was said that they pitied him so much that they changed their minds.
That's good.
For the 100 years after his death, he was even more hated. But in recent years, a paltry following has decided to ironically enjoy his fiction.
I love the idea that they're out there, man. It's not Trolls. Shoot, Gremlins 2.
Okay.
I think kind of this like cult classic. You watch it because it's so bad movie.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with the first Gremlins. Right? You're like, why do we
I've
even
never seen either
count
of the
this
Gremlins.
as a sequel?
That's
And
funny.
so they have like watch parties, right? This is, you go to an indie crappy theater with bad seats and you watch these movies and eat not so good popcorn. And it's an incredible time. But then they usually like interview director, writer, whatever. And they were like interviewing the director, and he was like, I mean, I feel like there's a reason that it is kind of lasting as this cult classic, that there's something about it that people, there's an intangible like factor that people like it. And the interviewer is like, well, we like it because it's bad. It's not intangible. Like none of it. He's trying to toe this line of like get information out of this guy while saying that his movie is bad, but also that he loves it. And the director is like, I am trying to make a piece of art here.
Yeah. That director has got to be, I don't know anything about the guy that directed Gremlins 2, but they've got to know. There's no way they made that movie as a piece of art. It was a commercial. Like, maybe they did. Maybe they really thought that it was going to be something beautiful. I don't know. Maybe it was completely different. And then that's like one thing that I didn't know until probably the last few years is like how many movies were really good and then got ruined by the production. Like the producers hiring an editor that they had in their pocket, and they're like, "Look, your job is to edit what we tell you to edit."
Yeah.
And then the movie kind of gets ruined. So who knows? It sounds like this director is lying.
Well,
and knows it's a piece of crap movie.
It's a little bit of a bait and switch, I think. That you're like, oh, we got this Gremlins 2 festival. We would love to have you as a guest of honor, and then it's like, why is your movie so bad?
You would have to know, though, right?
I think he's got to know.
You would have to know going into the festival that, like, people aren't making fun of you, but they are making fun of your work.
I didn't make a comedy, but these people seem to be laughing pretty hard. I just watched I've been on a Tremors kick recently, and I watched one of the newest ones that are not good at all. Yeah. And I watched this interview with the director, and he was like, I made movies that you guys get to make fun of, like, and like, cool. At least like, at least
I would.
At least you're aware.
The self-awareness feels like a huge. Just feels it's easier to enjoy somebody, I think, who's self-aware about their work.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Also, Tremors, like, so the first one was a box office flop. It kind of gained it definitely gained a cult following. It's a horror comedy, which they didn't know how to like market, right?
Right.
And so, but then 2 through now 6 are all like straight to VHS, straight to DVD, straight to streaming. Like, that's
so interesting.
And not like straight to streaming like a good Amazon show. It's straight to streaming in the tradition of straight to VHS. Anyway, we digress. American Fiction, really cool. It brings up an interesting point, and I thought that it was a pretty funny movie.
I would like to watch it. I just learned yesterday that there is a new film by Francis Ford Coppola
with Adam Driver.
With Adam Driver and Shia LaBeouf in it.
Oh, I didn't know LaBeouf was in it. Yeah, that's very exciting.
Yeah, I was really, really amped to find that out because I honestly thought he was going to stop acting, and then he made that movie about the Catholic priest, and then the trailers for it just looked really bad. It was produced by Willem Dafoe.
Oof.
It just looked low budget. Like they didn't have enough money to hire good, good. They spent all their money on LaBeouf. It looked like they didn't have anyway.
Literally, last week, Kate and I are driving. There's a lull in the conversation, 30 seconds of silence. And I go, do you ever wonder what Shia LaBeouf is up to? Like, what movie is he working on next? And
I follow him very closely.
She was like, no, I definitely never think about that. I go, oh, okay. Definitely for me, time to time. Maybe once every 2 weeks, I go, when's the next LaBeouf movie coming out?
That's such a great marriage moment. That's when your marriage is in the ultimately comfortable place.
Yeah.
30 seconds of silence followed by, you ever wonder what Shia LaBeouf's up to today?
Yeah. He's just
I
good.
I follow him very closely. He has like almost quit acting for good several times for the last few years. He's been to rehab.
Yeah.
And then he became a devout Catholic, like legitimately was just deaconized.
Really?
At his local Catholic church.
That was like kind of through the movie Fury, right? He
there was
a religious experience on that movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long story, but the religious experience he had on Fury ultimately was just acting. And he would say, like, there was probably some profound experiences, but he would have chalked those experiences up to simply
great character acting.
Good character acting.
People fall in love with their person they're supposed to fall in love with, and then a year later they get divorced because they're like, oh, we're just really good character actors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Looking at you, Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone, you ruined my adolescence. I thought you were going to be forever.
We can't act for our entire lives.
Can't pretend that Andrew Garfield's not insufferable for a decade. Sorry, Emma. Andrew Garfield, if you hear this and you want to come on the show, we'd love to have you, Spider-Man.
We would love to talk about
Emma Stone.
Your bed, yeah.
Love to ask you questions about the stone.
We read the Green Lights a while ago, Matthew McConaughey's autobiography.
All right.
And one of the
you want to find your purpose, you got to become a dolphin. You know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying? One of the comments or like Goodreads reviews was like, someone said that, or How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Who's that girl?
Oh, man.
You know who
Kate Hudson.
Kate Hudson apparently said that he's a bad kisser. I wasn't following the hot goss in 2001.
Gonna have to find out for myself.
And she was like, I was really hoping to get a little more insight into that. I'm like, you maybe needed to read this biography because you have no idea who Matthew McConaughey is. Like, he's not going to spend pages on like following up gossip on if Kate Hudson or he's a bad kisser. I don't know why I'm bringing that up.
Very funny. I don't think Matthew McConaughey is super worried about whether he was a good kisser or not in the movie.
No,
and maybe he is. I would imagine nobody should be worried about that. It's not real kissing.
Okay,
that is the point. It is fake. It's acting.
Acting.
You don't have to be a good kisser. That's literally not the point. You don't have to be able to wield Mjolnir to play Thor.
I will say though, I will say that if you gave me an option, was like, is McConaughey a good kisser or not? I'm gonna say yes. I think he probably is. Right?
Oh, that's so funny.
This actually brings up a pretty solid point. You asked me a question before we started recording, and it was a good question. It was one of the things I wanted to talk about. Hit me with it. What was your question?
What I was going to say was, have you ever had somebody take a picture of you and then send you the picture and you look at it and you go, oh, I'm getting fat.
Yes.
I'm getting a little chubby.
Getting a little, and the answer is yes, all of the time.
Just, we were like, oh, you mean taking pictures?
Yeah, right. In the last 5 years or so, you go, okay, yeah,
okay.
all right, maybe I should tighten it up a little bit. But here's the
double
thing.
Down.
My birthday.
See how fat I can get
is coming up
in a week.
Less than a week. It probably actually, when you hear this, I will now officially be 34 years old.
Which is definitely mid-30s. You're not running away from mid-30s with that title.
Which is just mid-30s. I've left young adult well behind in the rear view.
Isn't that weird?
It's in a different
You're no longer a young adult.
I'm just an adult in my mid-30s. I'm quickly approaching middle age.
Young adult is the Cancun of ages. You are now in a dry county in West Virginia.
And so here's the tension. When you get older, this is a little science lesson for you, Darius.
Mm-hmm.
When you get older, your metabolism slows down. And so the bad food that you eat has a greater impact on your physique. Mm-hmm. And I have built a lifestyle of not great eating habits. Now I've gotten better from when I was a teenager. I used to crush 2 gas station burritos and a 32-ounce Pepsi on the regular. I don't
Which is
do
funny
that as much.
Those burritos might be hard for you. I don't do that on a daily basis. The burritos aren't even that bad for you, although they would give you probably some IBS because of all the grease in there. Here's Pepsi, though, will make...
Well, that 32-ounce, that's a lot of sugar.
That's a lot of sugar.
And sometimes when I was like early 20s, I would like double dip and go back for a second 32-ounce Pepsi. That's 64 ounces of soda.
Oh, gosh, that is...
in a day.
That's like 5,000 calories.
I was $1.30.
Yeah, you had a 6-pack.
I weighed $1.30, and it was only $1.30 for that lunch. That's what I'm saying. You couldn't afford not to eat unhealthy, is my point.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's catching up with me. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
And when I put, say, a T-shirt on, I notice a belly, right? You know,
that T-shirt is screaming in protest. That T-shirt is yelling, "Take me off!"
Nate Berganti,
for the love of God.
Nate Berganti did a bit about did CrossFit. He's like, what's your physical goals? He goes, I just want to not be able to see my nipples through my shirt. This is a great goal. That's where I'm at.
It is. Anybody who's bodybuilding will tell you that's the opposite of their goal.
So,
same general direction, 2 different bullseyes.
Yeah, I never want to have to wear
2
a
very
shirt.
distinct bullseyes.
Ew. So here's the tension. You get older. You want to be healthy, right? You want to look good. You want to be. I think
you want to feel good.
You want to feel good. You want to be healthy. I think is the best place to be, right?
Because you don't want your heart to give out.
Right. You want high quality of life. You want that life to be a little bit longer than if you're not high quality of life. But then there's
filled with plaque by the time you're 40.
But the other thing is just you're just not you're gonna get old, and you won't always look like you're in your 20s, and sometimes it happens just 4 years after you're in your 20s. Some say 3 years. It was happening pretty. But okay, so you want to look good, tension. But then I think you also have to be okay with who you are and what age you are, which brings me to my point.
Because it's your birthday this week.
Of my boy, Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling.
And my other boy, Zac Efron. And we've talked about Meg Ryan before. The point is, Ryan Gosling just for some reason got cheek fillers. Have you seen these pictures?
No, but it's not surprising to me at all.
And maybe they're gonna even out a little bit. It's not looking great right now.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that.
How old is the Goz?
40.
Early 40s, mid 40s, maybe.
In his early 40s. Honestly, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I would guess that he's 45. Actually,
I would think so. How old was he in The Notebook? That came out like
he was pretty young. I think
2003.
he may have been only like 20 in The Notebook.
Yeah.
I'm Googling right now. Ryan Gosling. He's 43.
43.
He's not that old.
He's a specimen. A
Yeah,
good,
he still looks healthy.
right?
I'm trying to see. I'm going to look up pictures of these cheek fillers.
Get the 2023 to 2024 look. He in Barbie, in what's the movie that just came out? Emily Blunt.
Dude, I still haven't seen it. Fall Guy. I want to watch that movie so bad.
He looks great. He looks like Ryan Gosling. But there's this false like thing that he has to like look better, or he has to not be this like middle-aged guy. And like he clearly is in much better shape than all of us. Now, it helps that you like, that's a part of your job, is that you get to work out and have like personal. I could eat healthier if I had somebody just putting together all of my meals and said, you have to eat this.
Somebody was just telling me about this interview. I worked out with these two dudes the last 2 days. Well, that's how I celebrate being a bachelor for a weekend now, is lift weights a lot.
You just go to the gym. Hey, bros.
That's the age I am. It's like, what are we gonna do? Something crazy? Yeah, I'm gonna lift weights twice. I also hate being a bachelor for a weekend. There's nothing to celebrate. No. But anyway, I went to go lift weights with these two dudes who are much, much stronger than I am at their home gym. And one of them was telling me about this funny interview with Rob McElhenney where they ask him, because this always happens where the guys are in good shape, and in an interview they're like, tell us about your diet, tell us about your workout routine, how do you do it? And they always give bullcrap answers because it's their job to like be engaging in an interview, not tell you, well, I did it with like my doctor gave me testosterone replacement therapy, and then and they don't actually tell you all the things that they did, because it wouldn't be entertaining. It would just make you sad.
Right.
And Rob McElhenney did the opposite, and he goes, "Oh, dude, honestly, anybody can do this. Anybody could do this," which is what they always say. Anybody could do it. If I could do it, you could do it. And then he goes, "You have a family? You're going to want to get rid of that. Easy. Anybody can do it. Get rid of your family, because you're going to spend all your time in the gym. And then you probably have like a personal chef that makes all your meals, right? If you don't have one of those, you're going to want to get one of those. You're going to go into debt doing it. Doesn't matter. As long as you're going to have a body like this, it's going to be worth it." Yeah. And then you have a personal trainer, right? Like, tell your personal trainer. You don't have a personal trainer? Just make sure that you get a personal trainer. You're going to have to pay them $5,000 a week. They're going to live with you. You're going to work out with them 6 hours a day. So really, anybody can do it. You just have to follow those 3 easy principles. Get rid of your family, have a personal chef, have a personal trainer. That's it.
Easy peasy. Done.
I just thought it was so funny.
Yeah. I mean, that's the reality of it, right? And if, and some people are like, that's what they do to have fun.
It's their
like
job.
they want, I'm like, that's what they want to do to have fun. They like go to the gym or whatever. I'm not that person, right? So I'm not going to spend 3 or 4 hours at the gym. Yeah. Because it's not fun for me. Exactly. I was talking to this person that I was interviewing for like Northtown, and he was like, I really like going to the gym. That's like where all my friends are. I'm like, oh, you found community like lifting weights, and that totally is a legitimate thing.
I'm not going to say anything.
Not what I'm going to do.
I'm not going to say anything. I hope this young lady is very healthy. I have seen people who all of their friends are at the gym, and their lifestyles do not seem enticing. They don't match
up. We gotta go to the gym to offset some of this other stuff.
But I hope that she has found good community at the gym. Yes.
But
I like people at the gym.
It just is not what I'm going to do. Anyway, the point is, I think that you have to live in this tension of like being healthy, but also being okay with your age. Like Ryan Gosling should be okay that like maybe he's getting some wrinkles. Like, and as an actor, I understand that it is hard to give up leading man sort of things, but like, especially now with the streaming world and how many movies are coming out. In the 80s, you had 30
against 5 dudes.
You had 30 movies potentially that were going to come out in the year that, that were like blockbusters,
ones.
leading man sort of thing. You
Yeah.
had 30 leading man roles.
You had to look like a leading man all the time
Right.
to get because the idea was I've got to do a movie this year
Yeah.
to pay
Oh
these
my
bills.
gosh, it's Ben. Ben? Question mark? Ben
Where
Salazar.
did your hair go, my dude? Mijo.
We barely recognized you.
I know. I'm a new man.
You look wonderful.
Where are you?
Thank you.
Where are you? We've been recording for 45 minutes. Where have you been?
Where have you
I've been
been?
trying to. I literally just had breakfast and I was texting him like, man, let me just make sure they're on because I know Darius is late all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And
I got here at 10:13.
we are at a diner close to like Newport Beach.
Oh, cool.
Oh.
We're gonna go get some film reel. Meliah has a little camera. We're
Yeah.
taking pictures of all the trip. We need some more film. But yeah, we're here. We're doing it.
Boom.
Dude, that's
How's
really
your sweatshirt says creative director, which is a really cool sweatshirt. I don't know why I like it so much. How was Disneyland? Just brief
Yes.
review.
Yeah, it was so good. I loved it so much. I think my favorite rides were Rise, Incredicoaster. Here, I wrote it down. Here,
The Incredicoaster was a ton of fun.
It's so sick.
It's wild, man.
So what I did is every day. Also, Meliah's here now too.
Hi, Meliah.
Hi, Meliah.
We got lightsabers. We both got lightsabers.
Oh, I'm
Nice.
so jealous.
She wants to show you. So she was deciding, so I got Luke's because I'm a big
Purist.
fan of Luke. Luke from his green one from Return of the Jedi. And Meliah was looking at him. She's like, I'm not really loving this one. I don't really love this one. And the guy was like, as if like, I don't know, because he was genuinely into the saber. She's like, it feels like you want to forge your own pathway.
Oh, dude.
And you're like,
what a
you should
winner.
make your
You're
own.
right. I do.
And Meliah was like, she feels like, she's like, I think he just wanted to sell us
Sure.
like the experience because you got to like go into this room and like all these people and they set out all the pieces. You
Yeah.
got to choose a crystal.
That's great.
Here, let me give Meliah the headphones too. She wants to show you.
I want to see. Did you guys get like the top shelf ones, like the nice dude? What a
Yeah.
buy! What a buy! That's awesome.
We didn't get anything else.
No, dude, I'm not judging. I'm like super happy for you. That is so sick.
Let's see it. Show it.
Oh,
Can you see that?
that is sweet.
And she got the white saber.
Really, I would ask you
I
to turn
feel
it on, but I don't want you to put a hole in the roof.
Well, if you can hear it, it's gonna misfire
Dude.
because it doesn't have the blade in it.
But
But
That's cool.
I just need to explain the lore a little bit.
Oh my God.
Sure.
part of
Yes,
the
please.
reason
Hit us with the lore.
Is like there's different types of sabers, different colors of kyber crystal for like different paths of
Sure.
force wielders, and this one that I picked was like defense and protection or something like that. But it looks sick and sleek. That's what my main thing was. Like the only one lightsabers that were available that like I liked the most were like Ahsoka's from the show.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I don't know if I'm about to pay that much.
That was a lot more for hers. Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
too.
Oh, funny.
But
And then I had to get the white kyber crystal because of the lore as well. Independent, like protector. So yeah, I felt pretty good about it.
That's
we had a
amazing.
fun time. Yeah. So the whole time I was thinking, Darius, you mentioned like they're really good at storytelling. So every time, and especially they have a lot of dark rides, I'd pay attention to kind of like how every different room's a different part of the story, whether it's Peter Pan or Monsters Inc. was one of my favorite dark rides. I love Monsters Inc.
Monsters Inc. was fun.
And even some of them are like, these aren't as great. Maybe it's because I don't know the movie as well. It was it Snow White?
Yeah, well,
Or
yes.
I don't one of the other ones. I was kind of like, I'm sort of tracking. I kind of remember the movie, but it was kind of hard to.
Yeah, I think it was Snow White. If you don't know the story, Pinocchio was that as well. That I'm like, dude, if I haven't watched Pinocchio, there's no way I know what this ride is telling me.
Yeah,
So there's a couple. The thing with the dark rides, the old dark rides, is those are not cool because they're like amazing immersive storytelling. those are cool because they are the original, mostly unchanged rides.
Yeah, they're like day
from
one.
like the 60s.
Yeah.
So that's just like a cool history piece, is like these rides are like, they're like cardboard cutouts, right? They're like, you see the walls moving, they're like big pieces of plywood, but they're things that have been at Disneyland for decades, which I just think is cool.
Yeah.
Two of my, that I love. One, I don't know if you guys went on it. Mickey's Runaway Railway. Did you guys ride that one?
I love that ride.
I think that was the sneaker, like, great ride for our trip. Nothing can stop us now.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Ben's in such a good mood, he doesn't even care that you sang.
Yeah.
I'm on vacation. I don't care if I have to edit this all later.
You don't get to edit this. I'm posting it
We're editing
live.
it ourselves.
But yeah, I think in Rise, I think would technically be a dark ride,
Yes.
sort of, right?
It's in
For sure.
it's in the tradition of a dark ride, I would say.
Yeah.
Dude, the thing with Rise that's nuts is the queue and the fact that they literally shuttle you on that shuttle.
Yeah.
Dude,
That's so
we
sick.
have to.
I was not seeing. Yeah.
I was gonna say we'll have to save this next week. We're gonna
Yes,
talk about
for
a
sure.
full breakdown. All three of us went to
Yes.
Disneyland within like a month and a half span. We're gonna break it down. The reveal of Rise when you walk in and then they open the door and you're like in space with all the stormtroopers. I was like,
So nuts.
what? What is happening?
Yeah, dude.
Did we go to space? Because it didn't really feel like we were moving that much.
I've seen it before. I've seen pictures. Everyone's been telling me. As soon as those doors opened, my jaw was dropped to the floor. I tried to take pictures and they were so blurry. I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
The
Dude,
effect
can you
is
imagine?
the effect is amazing.
It's so sick. Imagine being like I don't want to sound cheesy, but like imagine how magical it is to be a cast member on that part of the queue for that ride.
Yeah.
And all day long. Obviously there's a lot of people that are coming through and they're like, oh, this is my 10th, 20th time on the ride, which is fine. But like
You just get to
you
smack
gotta know-
those rebels around though. You know?
You gotta know every time that door opens, there's a kid or an adult that's like,
Dude,
like that
I
would be
mean,
such a fun job.
the storytelling concept of the suspension of disbelief, right? If you go too crazy in a story, you kind of like disbelieve it for a moment, and you have to be like, it's okay. This is a story. You want to avoid that as much as possible. In that ride, it literally is the exact opposite of me. Is that I have to like convince myself that I'm like, okay, I am on a Disneyland ride. I am like,
Totally. I'm not in space.
I'm not in space. These are not real stormtroopers.
Dude, I also just personally love interacting anytime there's, especially the Star Wars characters, because there's the whole like Empire tension. I love interacting with those people. They're so much fun.
All right.
I avoided that as much as possible. I was like, oh
Gosh,
I let them throw me around a little bit. Stand over there. Oh, I was the rebel spy on Star Tours.
Oh,
nice.
Dude, did you get a picture of that?
No, it happened so fast. I was like, oh my gosh, and then it went to the next scene.
That's awesome.
I did that ride the
cool.
first time we went, but I got a little nauseous, so I didn't do it this time around. Star Tours is a ton of fun.
It's hard for
Yeah, we rode it like 3 times. Yeah.
Okay. Ben,
Yes.
give us a sign off, and then we'll let you get back to your vacation. Thank you so much for calling in. And
Yes.
Is there any other big thoughts from Meliah real quick? Any
Yes.
like last closing
Oh
thoughts?
yeah, Meliah.
'Cause
First,
I'm gonna talk, but she's not gonna be able to.
I think I am a little bit of an adrenaline junkie. So yeah, like Rise is cool, but I was like, let's go to the Incredicoaster again. I want my stomach to drop.
yeah.
Space Mountain was sick too.
Yeah, that was fun. I was like embarrassed a little bit because I was like, is Disneyland okay? Like I'm not gonna be someone, big Disney adult freaks out about everything. Just because I'm like, that's not me. The very first ride we went on right after Rope Drop was Hyperspace Mountain. And as we're going up and it's like playing the
Dude, when it starts the music,
Yeah.
I was tearing up and I'm
Yeah.
like, am I going to cry?
yeah.
It's amazing. It was so good.
They're good at
So
what
I
they
don't
do.
know. I loved it. I had a lot of fun. Ben did a really good job planning it.
Nice.
Did you tell me we got on like 6 rides in the first hour and a half?
We can talk about it next week. I pretty much nailed the first day.
Boom.
Like, it was incredible. I'll show you. I planned everything out. We can go through it. It was like efficiency, but high enjoyment too. Like, I can't wait to go through it with you guys.
Amazing.
Yeah,
dude, I'm so pumped for you guys. What's on the rest of your week?
we're gonna hang out probably. Universal tomorrow.
Let's go.
We'll do that. It's gonna probably be very disappointing, but that's okay.
No,
It'll be fun. There won't be any lines.
It'll be
You'll
different.
be able to ride everything all day. You guys not like Harry Potter?
Oh,
I do.
yeah.
Oh,
Harry
dude.
Potter's good. Meliah, have you been to Universal?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay. Got to do the Jurassic Park ride.
Oh yeah, that's what I think Jurassic Park, Simpsons, Harry Potter, and oh my god.
And honestly, the backlot tour is a ton of fun. It's so much fun.
Yeah, for sure.
I
That
like
one.
Universal.
But I just mean like
Yes,
like Disneyland is like them running at 90% is like, because there was a lot of stuff that was like closed down when we went, and like not a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Disney's 90% is better than 100% more than most amusement parks.
It is a completely different experience. I think
yeah.
Harry Potter World like gets closer to like what Disney is doing, but Universal, it is like, I don't know. It's just different.
It's just different. Even like when you're going up
it.
in the Hogwarts castle, there's literally like 2 places in all of Disneyland where when you're on an attraction, you can see outside the park.
Yeah.
And it's like for a split second. Where you can see like the real world outside of the park.
Yeah.
At Universal, like even when you're in Hogwarts Castle, you can see like skyscrapers in the background.
Yeah.
And so it's a different thing. Yeah.
Most people. Yeah.
They're waving.
Yeah. But it's Universal. It is awesome. And obviously nice.
Sick.
Obviously, like, due to my movie passion and history, like, that's one of the reasons why Disneyland is so great, is because there's so much history with it.
Yeah.
But then Universal, it is like also like
Just movie history.
I would honestly pay the admission fee just to do the backlot tour and like Jurassic Park, and I would be like completely satisfied. Are they still doing Waterworld? Did they stop?
Yeah.
Dude, you guys got to go to Waterworld. That show is sick.
We'll go.
It's so good. And watch Kevin Costner's Waterworld right before, so you get the real experience.
In preparation for tomorrow.
Oh, let's go.
You'll be checking behind your ears all day.
Dude, he has gills. All right, guys. We'll let you get back to your vacation. Thank you so much for calling in. We'll see you. I'll see you Friday.
Yes.
Picking them up from the airport. Best friend award. All right,
bye.
See you guys. Ugh. I do not like Ben. No, I'm just kidding.
I
I don't
care
know,
much for Meliah. I wonder if they could get a divorce still. Will Ben lose his job?
So
they're
that's
both amazing.
Dude, I'm really pumped to talk, like, to really go in depth with Disneyland. I think
That'd be fun.
we're talking about, New Way Stories is about creativity and kind of like storytelling and this whole like capturing magic, and it's Disneyland just freaking does it the best, and it's so much fun to just like be immersed in it. Like,
It is. It's inspiring. Yeah.
it is inspiring.
It is cool. It's
So-
an interesting. Yeah. It's good.
Next week we're gonna do it, but before Ben rudely interrupted us.
Well, my question for you is: do you have any, like, you're about to turn 34?
Yeah.
Do you have any other than just we look fat in pictures? I'll have to send you. We'll have to
Yeah, I don't
post
have
the picture
anything
that
else.
I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I'll
no,
have
that
to post
sums it
a
up.
picture so people can see what I mean. But like, it's just funny. But do you have any other thoughts? Like, how are you processing being in your mid 30s?
Well,
like,
so there's like a constant, there's kind of a constant like adapting and growing, and like I went to this art show. The guy who designed like my Northtown hats, he had like an art show up in the Seasons. Kate and I went to the opening night or whatever, and we're just surrounded by like really cool 25-year-olds who were like, Vegas maybe isn't our scene anymore, and not that we can't go to art shows, right, or whatever. And I think there is a little bit of a pushback for me always that it's like, well, you can't be into comic books anymore because you're an adult. And you're like, well, it's just like a form of storytelling, like, or you can't enjoy cartoons. That started to back like with The Simpsons, right? People were so thrown off that when The Simpsons first started, it was following Bart, right? That was the main,
right?
Because they're like, oh, well, it's kids. And it's like, well, the humor that you're writing is actually for adults,
10-year-olds. Yeah,
and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it is animated or not. Like, it's just storytelling. Like, So anyway, there is that tension of what I'm allowed to do as like a 34-year-old.
Yeah.
I can't really do. I started doing comedy at the Northtown open mic like
that's
12 years
15 years ago. Yeah.
And then I realized, and that was a great space for me. It was a great space to learn, like to try stuff. And but then after 6 years of doing comedy and me growing, right, me aging, the audience at Northtown was still 18, 19-year-olds, and I was 25. And then my comedy was just like not connecting in the same way. Which is one of the reasons I started like a comedy open mic like what was it, 8 years ago now? Because I'm like I need a space with people my age that I can like actually try this material out on, and it's not like if you're a little bit older, it's not like you can not go to a coffee shop open mic anymore. Like you should still definitely be able to do that. But there is a tension of growing and evolving and getting older and playing into that and being okay with playing into that. And I think for writing, like there's a part of me that really wants to continue to write like younger people characters. Probably because I have the experience of being a younger person compared to if I'm trying to write a 45-year-old character, I don't have the experience of being 45 yet. Come see me 10 years from now. But so I want to continue to write that. But as like an actor, be okay with playing a 45-year-old character, right? Like, I think it was in Tina Fey's book that she was like struggling with sexism in the improv troupe, and she's like, hey, this girl, my friend, like is really talented, let's bring her on. And the director is like, we just don't really have very many like female parts. And she's like, this is an improv troupe. You put a girl in and you have a new girl character. Like there's no like, why is that an issue?
That's really weird.
I think in acting, there's always going to be something for your age or like who you are. You can't like I don't think you can shy away from it, or you should shy away from it, I should say. And you just have to like, I don't know, you have to be okay. Acting is obviously a very difficult thing because leading roles go to young people. And when you've been Ryan Gosling and you're the leading role for 24 years, and now all of a sudden people are like, well, maybe it's time for you to not play the leading role. You know, not everybody can be Michael Caine and like crush their entire life and keep finding roles that fit their age. No, I take that back. I think that you can. Like, I think that Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman are like great examples of like, I'm an old person and now I take your, what was the terrible movie with Las Vegas, I believe, with all the old guys in it. Listen, I'm not going to go watch Las Vegas, but I bet you there's a ton of 70-year-olds that were like, this is amazing. And I heard, what was the movie recently, 80 for Brady? This is like 4 80-year-old women who are like obsessed with Tom Brady. I'm like, what a terrible movie idea. But then I thought about it and I go, you know what? There's probably a ton of 70 and 80-year-old ladies that think that this is movie. So funny. And it's the same concept of like bench warmers, right? People are like, oh, bench warmers was such a stupid movie. And then John Lovitz, I was listening to an interview. He's like, yeah, it's a stupid movie. But to a 13-year-old, this is like the funniest movie he's ever seen. We weren't making it for Siskel or Ebert, right?
Yeah.
Like, we were making it for 13-year-olds.
We weren't making it for Siskel.
Yeah.
We weren't making it for Ebert. We were making it for the 13-year-olds.
That's a pretty good Lovitz. But yeah, man, I don't know. You just have to. You have to be okay with aging, and like, I have a little bit of a goal that I continuously want to do something a little above average athleticness longer than normal people, right? So I threw a backflip the other day.
Yep.
Still got it, right?
Yep.
I hope when I'm 45, 50 years old, I can still get on a trampoline and do a single backflip. I'm not trying to like blow anybody's mind at 50 years old, but I just want to still be able to do that, right? Or I look at like Tony Hawk, and obviously he's not competing at the same level of skateboarding that he did when in the 90s, but the guy can still drop into a half pipe and like do some really cool things as like a 50-year-old skateboarder.
Yeah.
So physically, I would like to be able to do some of that. I definitely think that if I get out and like play ultimate frisbee right now, I'm blowing my Achilles for sure.
I was going to say, I don't want to sound like a downer in any way. Just be careful with those backflips because your knees and your ankles.
Well, and honestly, I kind of have thought about it.
That sounds so.
There will
so
be
old.
a day. There will be a day where I blow out my knee or snap an ankle,
gosh,
and then you go, okay, we had a good run. We had a good run. You know,
so you're not worried. You're not scared about blowing out. I'm terrified of blowing out my knee. It seems like hell to me. You're like, oh, it's gonna happen.
It'll happen eventually, and that's okay.
I love that.
You
That's
know?
a great attitude.
And it'll take, because I'm older, it'll take 9 months to recover. And I'm not going to do the PT regimen that they want me to do. So it'll take even longer.
Oh, it sounds like you're in a healthy place. You're in full acceptance of what the future holds.
Oh, absolutely.
Like
what were we? Dang it. Kate and I were just talking about something. Man, and I'm like, I would blow my Achilles out doing that. And I can't remember what it was, but it was a really funny activity. Like, that's a really funny, like, bit or like potential short story is but yeah, man, I don't know, you have to embrace your age. You have to take the goods with it, right? There's this sweet spot for athletics, right, when you're like 30 to 33, kind of depending on, you have the perfect tension of experience and athletic ability, right?
Yeah.
That it still goes, right? And
that's kind of like that's the average age of like tier 1, like special forces selection. That's the age.
Yeah,
is like early 30s. They're like, you have experience, your body can still handle all the crap. So it is like a sweet spot. Yeah,
and once that sweet spot is done, you have to be okay with teaching how to do it, or doing it at a less high level,
doing
which is
what you can do.
Yeah, the golfers, right? So there's the Champions Tour, which is if you've won on the PGA Tour and you're over 50, you get to play in the Champions Tour.
That's adorable.
No one is expecting these guys to play at the level that
of a 25-year-old
golfer is playing. But sometimes because they've won,
Tiger Woods is just out there absolutely
just mashing.
hole in one, everything.
But like, because of their experience and because they've won on majors, they get to play. So a rule of thumb is if you've won a major, you get to play in that major for the rest of your life until either they write a letter and they go, hey, maybe you think about being just an ambassador this year. Right. Or like a lot of guys will not play for 10 years and they go, okay, I'm going to play one more time. And they miss the cut by 16 strokes, and that's okay. Like, that's it. You're just. But sometimes, like 5 years ago, there was a 68-year-old in like the final grouping, like
That's
at the
sick.
Masters, because
it just goes to show how athletic you have to be to be,
to
good
be
at
a
golf.
golfer. Yeah, he did not. He kind of failed on the last day, but
He fell a lot.
point-
He fell a lot.
he
in
fell a
between
lot,
holes.
and he blew a hip out, and it wasn't pretty. But the funeral was nice. But my point is,
instead of like shooting guns like they do at a military funeral, they have like a 21 ball drive.
dude, they did that for like Arnold Palmer. He has this super
That's
like
funny.
unique swing. And the first year they played the Arnold Palmer tournament after he died, like
Oh, that's
everybody
cute.
was on the driving range and they all like did the Arnold Palmer swing. And
That's cute.
50-year-old men were crying.
Poured some iced tea mixed with
Yeah,
lemonade.
yeah, man.
All in his grave.
But my point is that you're obviously not competing at the same level, but like you're still a good golfer and you still want to compete. So
yeah.
you get to be on the Champions Tour, and that's okay. Like, you know, or like Jack Nicklaus, who is 80 something years old. He's not trying to like play on the tour, but he takes the ceremonial first shot. He designs golf courses. He like is a part.
That's
He's an
cool.
ambassador of the game. So your job shifts. Right? Like
yeah.
you're not in your quote unquote prime, but now you're using your age and influence for a different sort of thing. And I think an actor, you can teach the next generation how to act. There are roles that, you know, fathers are roles that happen in movies, and you have to be okay with not being the leading man
like
anymore.
A really interesting thing as we like not, and I don't think I don't care that Ryan Gosling got cheek fillers. I think like the reality is it's probably less personal insecurity than it is culture, because everybody
In LA,
in Southern California is
Ben's going to
getting
come back with
plastic
cheek
surgery.
fillers.
All
Haircut
the guys
is the first
now,
step.
all the guys are doing the testosterone replacement. All the women are getting the lip fillers. All the women are getting the body surgery. Like,
It
and I'm
is
not saying
definitely
it's
cultural.
good. Like, I don't. It doesn't seem holistically healthy to me, like
Yeah.
overall. But who am I to judge? Like, maybe like I had braces when I was a kid. That's cosmetic surgery.
But
so
when
like,
you're in the thick of it, it feels normal. And when you're outside of it, you're like, what the
looks
H is
odd.
happening?
well, especially for somebody like Ryan Gosling, that you're like, what? There's nothing wrong with you, dude. Or like Zac Efron, that you're like,
Dude,
bro.
that's my point. These are
there's
two
nothing wrong
really
with you.
good-looking dudes. You know, like
Yeah. Well, dude, imagine what it's like. I'm not trying to like turn this into like a sexism conversation, but like imagine what it's like for women. That it's like these women are already to Western beauty standards, which are already arbitrary. They're already like
this
beautiful people.
Yeah,
And there's still this drive to
They
like
feel the
augment
need.
and
Yeah.
enhance. And so
it's
aspect of it
it's
is
honestly
sad to me.
heartbreaking. Yeah, absolutely.
I think
Dude,
it's very sad.
I wish so badly that like I could get a 60-year-old Meg Ryan movie that she just looks like a normal 60-year-old playing
dude.
somebody's grandma. Like
That
you know,
really is sad.
But, like,
yeah.
she made a bad like cosmetic choice, and now she looks like a crazy person.
Well, and again, even then, like, to be fair, again, I say that's really sad that she doesn't look like a normal 60-year-old woman. But again, like, who am I to say what a normal 60-year-old woman looks like? There's no such thing as like a normal. So like, if that's how
Yes.
if she's happy with herself, I'm happy for her.
Yeah.
As long as she's healthy.
I think
and
that
not,
there's a level of
self-destructive.
aging naturally though that like, and I think the 80s and 90s we should wrap up here pretty soon, but there was definitely an unhealthy culture of, I think we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
In the
like
80s
plastic
and
surgery
90s
was still kind of new.
well, it was kind of new, but like the 80s bodybuilders were trying to do something that like that no one can obtain, right? Like
Yeah.
in the 60s, they even looked like somewhat normal people.
Yeah. Oh, in the 60s, for sure. That was like
Right.
the 60s is when like the steroid thing kind of started taking out with bodybuilding. So
And then
yeah,
the
there's guys
80s
like Steve Reeves.
Yeah. So the
You look like a
80s, like
normal
you
dude.
have these like bodybuilders that you're like, oh, that looks unnatural. And that's because it is unnatural.
It's because it is.
And then women were getting like these breast implants that were like so ridiculous, and that carried into the 90s. And now we're getting back to, I think,
It does feel like
popular
people are trying to
culture.
look- yeah.
Like the idea of natural bodybuilding in the 80s, like would have been laughed at even more than what it is today.
Yeah, well, in the 80s, they called it all natural bodybuilding.
Right,
That's
right.
the problem.
They go, yeah, no, this is natural.
Yeah.
But like, even my point is that even if cosmetic surgery happens, the attempt is to get it to be looking normal or back to normal, rather than let me get this thing that is like way over the top, which was the 80s and 90s culture,
Yep.
which created the 80s action movies that we like.
Well, and I would say like my comment about the aging thing overall is, and my personal issue, so I don't know what everybody else's issue is, but I know my personal issue is I am constantly thinking about the person I should be,
yeah.
not the person I am. To like literally directly quote maybe my favorite part of, or second favorite part of Avengers Endgame is like that scene where Thor's mom is like, you've got to stop worrying about who you're supposed to be and just be who you are. And that's the moment where he's like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm still worthy.
I'm still worthy.
I'm still worthy of love. I'm still worthy of like being people valuing me. I'm still worthy of doing things that I want to do. Like I'm still worthy of doing the things that I am meant to do.
Yeah.
And I think that like ultimately is the thing that the Ryan Gosling thing, whether I don't know him, but like the plastic surgery thing shows it's a mirror to us as a culture that we're obsessed as Westerners, especially of like, where are we supposed to be at this stage in life?
Yeah.
Where am I, like you said, am I supposed to be watching cartoons? Or for me, it's like, am I supposed to be farther along as a pastor? Should I have done more things? Should I have planted a church 10 years ago instead of now? And the question is not like what you should have done or what you should do or what you should be, but who are you now? Like, who is God calling you to be now? What is God doing in you now?
Well, and
what
it's
is the healthy version of you now, not the successful version of you?
I think even in faith, it's the same tension, is that you have to be okay with who you are because you don't want to live by shame. And as like a Christ follower, we believe that we are saved, redeemed, renewed.
Yeah.
But then you look at your life and you're like, man, well, there's a lot of me that is not realizing that sort of thing, right? Or like I'm well and accepted and good right now, but I want to be closer to God. I want to
I want to be more obedient,
right? Like, and that's the more and more I think about it, so many areas in life, spiritual, creativity, health, it's this tension. The healthiest place to be is in this tension of I'm okay with, I legitimately am okay with where I'm at, but I want to continue to push myself, not in a way that I only talk about CrossFit, not in a way that I only talk about, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm okay with who I am, but I want to push myself still.
Yeah.
And there's no other way to describe it than like living in the tension because they're two things that are at odds with each other, being okay and pushing forward, but you have to continuously be okay with yourself and push forward. And I think that's where you should be as a creative, as a person, whatever.
Yeah. Yep. That's good.
All right. Good. This is, we're probably right about an hour. Once we cut out the Ben interruption. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you guys so much for listening to New Way Stories. Thank you for listening through Darius and my like early midlife crisis podcast. We'll be doing once we're 40, we'll just do like purely a midlife crisis.
Straight.
Yeah,
We'll both be driving sports cars.
And you're okay with where you are. But you want to, I'm completely okay that I bought a red. I live next to
a nice sports car.
I live next to an older lady, and she had like someone come over, another old lady in a convertible. And I'm like, how funny is it how not quickly, but how suddenly convertibles dropped out of like being in vogue. There's not a single 25, 35-year-old that drives a convertible. It's all 70 plus. Like,
but maybe it's always been that way.
I don't know, man, because
I don't know.
It used to be.
It does feel like in the early 2000s, convertibles were every movie.
Don Johnson from Miami Vice, when he played the character Nash Bridges, his car was a convertible, and he still was real cool. He still was real cool. And he's still driving that convertible.
Mustard cool. Yellow.
Yeah,
jacket.
You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I've watched the Nash.
So thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, rate, do all of the things on there. You can also sign up to the New Way Stories email list if you want. That link is in the bio. You can buy Rat Race. That link is in the bio as well. And come back next week because we're going to be talking Disneyland, and I will be 34 years old. I'll be a little older, a little wiser, and I will be able to talk about Disneyland with a much more refined palate than if we were to do it before my birthday.
Just as long as you are, for the few months of the year that you are older than me, you have to talk down to me.
And I will. Absolutely.
Look, Darius, when you're my age.
You just don't understand because you're not 34 yet. Wait until the end of July.
You'll see.
You'll see. I mean, it's just there's only some things you can learn with experience. That is incredible. All right, Darius, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody who listened. And Ben, when you're listening to this during the edit, I hope you know that we hate you. No, Ben, we love you. We miss you. Please come back. I can't work this fucking soundboard.
Hope you die impaled on your own batarang.
He's like too good with the batarang. It comes back at him with such a force that it's really hard to catch.
It goes straight through his stomach.
In Road Warrior, Mad Max Road Warrior, the guy tries to catch the kid's boomerang and it cuts his fingers off. Great about that. Great stuff. All right. What a way to end a podcast with a Road Warrior. We got you a Angels in the Outfield reference.
Yep.
Oh, I don't even know where we were recording. I don't know. We'll see you guys.